Hey everybody out there in the land of YouTube, this is Annette Dion. I'm the host and founder of the Psychic News Network. Welcome. It's Wednesday, June 8th, 2022, and I'm doing this early because tonight Corey and I are doing our show. We usually aim for Wednesdays. If you want to see it, I will post it on my community page, but also just go to Bridge Cape Ann and you'll see us. We're going to be live side by side because it was originally going to be from my office to his headquarters through Zoom, but we thought it was going to be a crappy day and it turned out to be beautiful. That's New England anyway. So hopefully we'll see you there 6:30 Eastern time live, and you can always watch it afterwards. I'll do my best to make him keep it under 3 hours, but you never know. There's of course tons in the news. I'm going to cover what I can. This won't be too terribly long. So the speech by Matthew McConaughey, who is a resident of Uvalde, I can never say that. Anyway, I think I'm the only one that has trouble with that name of the city. Anyway, having his mom be a kindergarten teacher, growing up there, learning how to shoot BB guns and learning about guns there. He's not advocating for taking away everybody's guns like the Republicans like to just say, they're trying to take away your guns, they're trying to take away your guns, and nobody is trying to take away anybody's guns. Anyway, Matthew McConaughey just really, if you watched his speech and you felt his genuine emotion, then you probably cried. Because if you have a heart, then I don't know how you could listen to what he had to say and not at least shed a tear. Anyway, even if you're a hard person. So I just read that as he was walking off the podium, somebody from Newsmax hollered out to him, "Were you just grandstanding just then?" Which really points to the narcissism of this culture of, oh, you must be doing that to benefit yourself, right? Let's remember, when Trump was president, he actually couldn't understand how somebody would serve in the military and risk their lives and or give up their lives in order to, defend democracy and fight for the greater good of all, which he referred to them, he described people that serve in our United States military as losers and suckers. Don't ask me how there could be people out there that call themselves veterans for Trump. I do not understand. I can't wrap my mind around that. So, and we see examples of this all over the place, like, oh, you must be doing it for, when the shootings happen, you must be doing it for, getting up there and speaking against guns or, speaking for gun control laws. Oh, you must be doing it to help yourself, in some way. So you can't, there's no space for doing this because we're human beings and it's the right thing to do. Not from a narcissist perspective. That's for sure. So, furthermore, just on this issue of Republicans and guns, on Morning Joe this morning, it was reported that there were several Republicans that were asked, what about this AR-15? Why do people need an AR-15? You may have seen this, but I'm just going to recap it for you. John Toon of South Dakota, Ruby Red State of South Dakota. What they use, they need the AR-15 in South Dakota because they use it to shoot prairie dogs. Poor prairie dogs. Anyway, it's beside the point if you're a prairie dog lover. I couldn't shoot a prairie dog, but I've never really seen a prairie dog, but I wouldn't shoot anything anyway. And a lot of you feel the same way. Anyway, and thinks it's legitimate for somebody to have an AR-15, an assault weapon that obliterates its subject, its target, obliterates it. You need an AR-15 to shoot a prairie dog. What's wrong with a handgun or a rifle? They used to use rifles, even for hunting. Ken Buck, Colorado, AR-15s, they use them to kill raccoons, fox, and to keep the fox away from the chickens. You need an AR-15 for that? I know this is a lot, but I'm just gonna go on. Bill Cassidy of Louisiana, we need AR-15s to kill feral pigs. I don't really know what that means, but you probably do. Ron Johnson, our buddy Ron Johnson says we need the AR-15s. People need them to, I forget what he said they need them for. I think it was to keep away varmints or something. I think that's what he said. And then, and that the gun laws that we have, he said, are, we can enforce them. And then in the same breath he says, and what about Hunter Biden? I am telling you what, can't even wrap my mind around it. They're making a mockery of people that don't want to die at the hands of a shooter. They're making a mockery of these children that were massacred. They're making a mockery of it. They're making a mockery of anything that has anything to do with a Democrat or a humanist. Let's take a look at the cards. I didn't write down a list of questions. I don't always do that. Sometimes I do. But anyway, there's a lot to talk about. So the other night, I did ask about whether there would be gun reform laws, and I got that there'd be one. And I also asked, you might remember, that whether the filibuster would be thrown out the window for gun reform laws, reformed gun laws. And I got no. These Republicans are impossible. You cannot even count on them to have human emotions. That they're made of the same fabric as Vladimir Putin. They truly are. I mean, look at Ted Cruz. Look at Greg Abbott. Look at what's going on in Texas right now. I mean, with the police force, that it's unbelievable. Anyway, it will continue. The shooting will continue. You don't need a psychic to tell you the shootings will continue and they'll increase. And the more there's a focus on guns, 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 the more people are going to be going out and buying guns, guns, guns. And you know what happens statistically every time there's a shooting, and that's what's in the news all the time. People actually become more frightened and they want their guns more, and the sale of guns goes up. I'm not saying this to discourage you, I'm just saying this because it's true, and we have to be aware that we have to continue to fight. The fight is infinite. Because if we want to get guns to be less prevalent in our society, we can't give up the fight. We cannot give up on our commitment to do what we can to have gun reform. And after Sandy Hook, we thought that would do it. Now that they've massacred children, this will definitely do it, and it didn't. But we have to keep up the fight. So let's look at some cards about that. I'm going to do my best to not make this too long because it's the middle of the day and I do have things to do, and including getting back to people who are interested in the Pendulum class this Saturday, the 11th, from 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern Time. We do it in a Zoom room. I will send you the info. I have a few people to write back to, so be patient. I'll do it by the end of the day. Just with the details, how to sign up and everything. So there's that, and I'm doing it again on the 18th too. So June 11th and June 18th, we're having a Pendulum class, and that will be fun. It's always fun. I love to teach. You guys are awesome. Thank you for your kind comments. Always, thank you for your kind comments. Okay, this is going to be really bad for the Republicans. What they are doing is going to be really bad for the Republicans, because yes, in fact, there will be more shootings, and I hate to say it, but you already know it. I'm not going to say it anymore, because I don't want to give that any more power. It's just the law of averages, right? Says since we haven't done anything, then of course that's going to happen. Since there aren't any laws in place and safeguards to prevent it from happening, and the number of guns that are being purchased is increasing. I haven't seen the stats on that as of recently, but I know that that's factual, that when there are shootings, gun sales go up. So be prepared for that. But the lawmakers are lining it up, and there are some Republicans. Now the guides are saying that the Republicans who people close to them who have been touched by gun violence, there are a few. The guides are saying 3 or 4. There are 3 or 4 Republicans that will say yes to some kind of gun reform law. Remember the other day I saw there was only one law that was going to pass. It's probably background checks. There might be 2. It might be background checks and age limit. You can buy an AR-15, but you can't buy a beer. When you see the discrepancy in the laws in this country, you might be tempted to think that we're a lawless country, because we kind of are. It is the Wild West. They are lining up, doing the best that they can do. I've said all along that the women are going to be the ones that really are the ones that are the movers and shakers. I mean, remember, those 4 representatives that I just cited that were actually defending that people need AR-15s to shoot prairie dogs. They're all men, right? You'll never hear a woman say we need an AR-15 to shoot a prairie dog unless it's like a Marjorie Taylor Greene or a Lauren Boebert. That type. And that's not the majority. There will be something passed. That's what I see on that. But be prepared. I mean, don't be shocked and stunned when you see more horrific, things happening. And we can't give up. We have to just keep working at it. We have to do everything that we can. On this weekend also, there is I guess a virtual march. There's a march for Our Lives. The Parkland kids are marching on Washington on Saturday, and there's a virtual thing. If you're in Grassroots of Democracy, our friend Warren sent me the email with the information about joining the virtual march on Saturday. So definitely, okay, grassrootsofdemocracy@gmail.com. Type AYE in the subject line, and you too will get that information, along with the Zoom invites to our meetings. Our meetings are on Thursdays 7 to 8 p.m. I'm not yet decided as to whether we're going to meet in person, on Zoom tomorrow night because of the first January 6th hearing. I'll be sending an email about that, because it might be that we postpone our meeting to Saturday. All right, more about that later. All right, so I'm looking at a little bit more about gun reform. The NRA is losing power, but as I said, remember when the convention happened and I was asking the cards, why did they go ahead with that convention? And it was because they needed the money. The NRA is not as in the flesh as you might think, and they are, I can feel it. They are actually, I don't know where to find this, but I feel like the NRA is putting out more ads for people to buy guns, and I actually get that they're increasing their plans for gun shows. It's just a psychic impression. I hope I'm wrong, but I do really feel that. Also, though, there's going to be a lot of money going into gun reform, promoting gun reform. Matthew McConaughey is, I feel like he's going to invest a lot into that, and there will be. I do, we've been visualizing too in our visualization groups. We've been visualizing people turning in their guns, gun buyback programs, people volunteering to turn in their guns. The Democrats have never, ever, ever, ever said, talk about putting words in everybody's mouths that they don't like. The Democrats have never said, we're coming for your guns. The Democrats have never inferred that. Nobody ever said, we're coming for your guns, you're not going to have gun rights. Ever. It's really amazing how much they accuse others of doing that's just simply not true. And speaking of simply not true, let's go to Donald J. Trump. What's he thinking right now? He's looking really bad. Really bad. My take on what's going on overall, my overview, I would say is this. I feel Trump's base really weakening. I feel people getting disenchanted with the Trump brand of politics and speaking, and I feel people not getting much out of Trump in terms of personal like satisfaction with what he's doing. So it's diminishing returns for him energetically. I do not feel like people are going, yeah, I want to be part of that. And we're going to see more of that on with the hearings. We're going to see more of people being like, well, not talking about Trump so much as this big hero. Whether they're ignoring the hearings or not, you cannot ignore the energy of these hearings. It's not possible. Because it's going to be in the air. And Fox, I really think let's pick some cards about this. First of all, we're going to pick some cards about Trump's base, because I was just talking about that. Yeah, actually, this is interesting because this is about Trump's base, and people actually, they may not admit it, but I see a lot of disillusionment. Like, what are they really getting out of those rallies that they go to? Besides, it's like, how Grateful Dead concerts used to be, like, places where people just became friends forever because they all went to the same concerts. Like, the Trump rallies, I know this is two completely opposite things, but the Trump rallies, are similar in the sense that people would come from all over, all different states, and say, hey, I'll meet you in Cincinnati, or whatever. And that this is what's with it not having a lot keeping it afloat, the Trump movement. Like, what can he really point to that he's doing that's so great? Not much. So the moon card is that a lot of Trumpsters will actually find out what's going on. Now let's not think that they're all extreme. Let's think that some of these people, because this is true, used to be, your generic Republican. When the Republicans were kind of a legit party who actually were reasonable, there wasn't that much. It wasn't that much to like complain about with the Republican Party. They were just a little different in their leanings than the Democrats. But what it's morphed into is really, really different. And there will be people that watch the January 6th hearings starting tomorrow night, and they will be like, whoa, I don't like this. Very emotional. Be ready. Be ready with the mute button to turn the volume down if you can't handle what you're going to see in those hearings. I know one's tomorrow night. I'm not sure what the schedule is for the rest of them. So this is about Trump's base. They don't really know why they would support him. It's starting to, and I'm not just making this up. This is really what I'm seeing. I don't make stuff up anyway. I'm just saying, I know best case scenario, we want to see that they lose their interest, but I really do see them losing interest. It's part of our wishful thinking too. That's why I said that. But they really are losing interest. There's no shiny object anymore. What is it that they're seeing that's so wonderful about Trump? He's getting uglier and fatter and more. I wouldn't say that if he wasn't such an evil person. Sorry. I get carried away sometimes. They're going to see that they're not having anything to gain by continuing to support Trump. That's the outcome of this January 6th hearing starting tomorrow night. That the Trump base is starting to see, not the extremists, the ones that are just kind of on the fence. They're going to start to see, wow, we haven't really gotten anything from this guy. And this is what he did on January 6th. Mark my words, we're going to see a shift. We are going to see a shift. These changes take a long time to come into effect, as we know. Now, I did hear something about pocket pardons that I heard Glenn Kirshner talking about pocket pardons and how Ivanka and the Trump family, they'll probably have pocket pardons. Keep in mind that these pardonings, were put into effect that the president could pardon people when it was something that was just like, oh, that punishment was just really not just, so here's a pardon. The exception to that is Gerald Ford, because he should have never pardoned Nixon. But anyway, I do feel like that they have pocket pardons, and I don't know, I'm not a lawyer, I don't know about that kind of thing in depth. Obviously, I'm a psychic, not a lawyer, but I feel like, well, I don't see Ivanka going to jail. I see her being very frightened. Let's take a look at the collective of Meadows, Navarro, Bannon, Scavino. We'll just kind of look at the collective, because there's a core group, right? Giuliani, maybe, I don't know. Giuliani's kind of such an idiot. He doesn't really fall into the category. The Proud Boys. Let's take a look at the collective of those who are really like the intelligence behind the coup, and see what's going to happen with them as a result of this hearing tomorrow night. I think there are 6 public hearings. That's what I last heard. It seems to keep changing, just like the weather. Okay, so this is what's going to happen with them. I see a lot of plea bargaining kind of stuff going on. The American people have the upper hand, and they know it. Now, one thing that people are wondering about, well, I understand why people would be wondering about that. These guys that were, the head honchos, the planners of the insurrection, they know they're walking on eggshells. They know that it's kind of a slippery slope right now. So, but the strength of the case against them has put them in a position of, oh no, we don't know how to keep our balance here. How do we keep our story straight? It's interesting, because with Fox News, they might be on Fox. By the way, Navarro doesn't fit into the category of somebody who's intelligent, but it's really, really dumb. The others were just kind of a little smarter about their approach. They're just criminally smarter. The strength card is the strength of the case of the January 6th committee is too big for these guys, and the fact that Fox News has decided not to air it, I see that working against them. Thou dost protest too much, methinks, because that is so glaringly obvious to the average person. There are some average people that are Republicans. I know it's hard to believe that because of the extremists, but I do see that this is gonna let's take a look at that. This is gonna backfire on Fox. To not broadcast the hearings is gonna backfire on them. It really shows how anti-American they are, honestly, because this is really about making sure this never happens to America again, just like 9/11 was about that. They're turning it into, oh, the Democrats are out to get us. Oh, the Democrats are so bad, and they're so this and they're so that. And they should really look at it, really honestly, for what it really is what the January 6th committee is doing this to protect our country. But all they can do is point fingers and go, well, you're just trying to use this as a grandstanding. You know what I mean? It's like, can you think beyond that a little bit, even though that's how you think? They probably can't. Let's take a look at what actually this hearing tomorrow night will produce. Let's take a look at some cards about that, and I'm going to let you go at about 30 minutes or so. I'm going to do a short thing today. Okay. Oh, whoa. Oh, this is what's going to be the result of the January 6th hearing tomorrow night. So let me decipher these cards for you. This is the most satanic, evil thing that's ever happened in our country, and I'm including the Civil War. Well, there are more people. There was more. Yeah, it's way worse than the Civil War. what happened on January 6th is way worse than the Civil War in a certain way. In the sense that the Civil War was more against, slavery. The Union wanted to abolish slavery, and it happened. And the South wanted to keep the slaves, and that was the issue. So in a sense, January 6th was worse because those were people all on board with making America not a democracy anymore. The devil card. Sometime if you want to know, I'll tell you the signs of the demonic that were present on January 6th, which is why I can't watch it. Our country is going to feel absolutely broken when we see what we're going to see, so be ready for that. We're going to feel like we don't know what to do. We're going to feel like this has gone too far. We're going to be very, very well aware that they're continuing to plan to take over our democracy next time around, and it's very scary. Tell us more, cards. Do tell us more. This is stuff that we kind of already know. It's just being confirmed. Tell us more. Tell us more about the aftermath. Well, I was asking about tomorrow night, and this is kind of like, these cards are kind of like, well, tomorrow night it's going to be all laid out there, and this is how it's going to feel. Oh my God, the evil. Don't watch it if you can't. You know what I mean? Don't do that to yourself. You can just watch clips of it later on YouTube. Because it's all there. Everything that you miss on the news, you can find on YouTube. So that's never a problem. And as things go on, the case is going to be very clearly laid out. I've said that before. It's going to be very clear, very concise. It's going to be, undeniable. This is the Republican Party, as a result, not really knowing what to do. All they really have left is to hope that people believe the lies. And the Six of Wands, and I said a long time ago that the reason that Donald Trump was president, and I've said it repeatedly, was because from a higher perspective, that this is the only way the United States was going to make an effort to revamp our democracy. Let's ask the Pendulum. Will we be able to do it? Will we be able to revamp our democracy? And the Pendulum is very clearly saying yes. I always mentioned, it gives me faith that we made it through January 6th. That makes me really know that we got a second chance, and we can all get involved and all make a difference. Right now, we just have these heinous people in office that are working for Putin. They have been working for Putin all along. Let's not forget that July 4th, 2018 little trip that they took, I think it was 2018, to visit our buddy Vlad. And they've been in with Russia all the way in dismantling our democracy. And I do have a feeling we're going to find that out through these hearings. I really do feel that. Let's see if the Pendulum is saying, are we going to find out about a Russian connection with the January 6th committee? No, I don't think that they're gonna come right out with it. But I do feel that they have that evidence. I kind of feel like they can't come out with that because it's too volatile. Okay, so let's just go down a little bit of a list. Is Kevin McCarthy going to get away with what he did on January 6th? No. I mean, Trump wanted Mike Pence hung in the gallows. That's the kind of evil we're dealing with here. Is Mark Meadows going to be prosecuted for his involvement? I don't get that Mark Meadows is going to be prosecuted for his involvement. And the reason why, and I know we're all upset about that, the reason why is because he gave so much of the evidence. He handed it over to the committee. Not that he shouldn't be in huge trouble and prosecuted and be behind bars, but that is why. It was a quid pro quo, or it was kind of a plea bargain. there. I mean, I feel like the January 6th committee got more out of him because they said that he wouldn't be in as much trouble. Is the Republican Party going to suffer as a result of the January 6th committee findings? Yes. The Republican Party will indeed be suffering, lagging in popularity as a result of the January 6th committee findings. And I'm going to ask one more thing before I let you go. And don't forget, tonight, Bridge Cape Inn, 6:30, I'm live with Corey, which is just a fun time. And I know that he collected some questions. He always does the night before. He's such a dedicated dude, I'm telling you. He really is. Maybe a little more than me. Just in terms of how much he works. Not in terms of our shows. Okay, so let's see. Is this going to make a difference for America? Are we gonna be better after this? I think that's what I was gonna ask. I don't know. Sometimes I forget what I was gonna ask. Too many things going on in the news. It's going to make us very sad. We have such a long way to go. We have so much work to do. We will keep praying and intending. You know, after we get through the grieving period of you know, what happened on January 6th, when we see it again in full living color with a full storyline, we will be better. We will become a better country. I'm not just saying that. I do see it. All right. So I'll be back again in a couple days to do another video, and someday I'll do a live again. It's just always it's so hard to read the questions and the conversations and do readings at the same time, but I will do that. Maybe Friday, we'll see. If you would like to book a reading, it's annettedionpsychic@gmail.com. That goes straight to my assistant, and he'll book you a session, and I have room. And if you want to sign up for the Pendulum classes, it's annettedion7@gmail.com. Just let me know you're interested. Let me know if you want to come on the 11th or the 18th. And grassrootsofdemocracy@gmail.com. Type AYE in the subject line. I think that's all I have. I'll see you soon, and namaste. You guys are awesome. Keep positive. Keep visualizing the America that you want to see, because it does work. All right. Namaste. See ya.